Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I just like to post pictures of my artwork um, about 3 times a week. I don't even post as much. And I've also included a link to the DC fan site where there's plot synopsis to everything kind of that we're gonna cover. So we are going to be looking at Superman, Batman, number 8 and number 9 from 2004, drawn by Michael Turner. Rest in peace. He passed away from cancer a few years ago. Written by Jeff Loeb. We've covered a couple of issues of a couple of stuff from Jeff Loeb. We have covered issues 1 through 6 with Ed McGuinness as penciler. We skipped issue 7. Pat Lee drew it. Feel free to go to that DC site if you're interested in kind of knowing what happened in issue number 7. But we're going straight to 8 and 9. Michael Turner pencils this. He does not ink it. This isn't ink. This is all done in pencils here. So, here we go. So, kind of giving you a. This cover actually is pretty good and kind of telling you everything that's gonna kind of be going on here. So, here are the credits. I do have the issues themselves. But I'm using the trade paperback as just easier to show. So we start in Gotham City. Now, a trope of Jeff Loeb is to show internal monologue. Superman. So kind of quick synopsis of issues 1 through 6. Lex Luthor brought a giant kryptonite asteroid hurling toward Earth. That asteroid has brought some stuff, into Earth, some debris of the kryptonite. So Superman has been inside the Fortress of Solitude, kind of by himself, and Batman is going around the world collecting all the pieces. So here he is at the Batman Harbor. Here's his little bat boat, and here goes Batman underneath, using his little, I don't know what you'd call this, but pushing it through. Superman's getting all upset because, time has been passing and he hasn't really been able to do much and yada, yada, yada. He wants to be out there helping. Batman won't let him. And so Superman's kind of going a little stir crazy. Batman's collecting the kryptonite, and he sees something. You can see by the eyes, and Superman's in the comm saying, "Batman," and he's like, "What's wrong? Did you find something? You found something, didn't you?" And of course, he's referring to this ship that also is in the harbor that was in with that debris. So, all right. So, unbeknownst to Batman, we see someone, some mysterious girlish figure is going there, and so Batman is telling Superman kind of to just be cool, and he sees that the Kryptonian markings in it. Here, the girl is getting into the boat. The boat's warning him that someone's going in there, and Batman needs to go. Now, I don't think he'd be running in the water, but hey, maybe he is. So the boat's taken off, and Batman is gonna use like his harpoon and catch the bottom so that he glides with it. So He and Batman is telling Superman that he'll do the job that needs to get done and to quit worrying. Here, the girl's gonna crash the boat into the harbor, and Batman doesn't look too happy, so he's coming out here. So the girl's walking as some people are receiving some freight. Um, and of course, she's not clothed, which, of course, the men being men are like, "Ooh, nice." And he extends his hand. She grabs the hand and, of course, crushes his fingers. And she's speaking Kryptonian. We all know who this is, but we'll we'll save it here. So he pulls off this uh, contraption here. I really don't know what it's called, but she sees it as a threat and pushes him out and grabs the thing. And this dude's like, I had nothing to do with them. She crushes it and bends steel with her bare hands, similar to what Superman does, and gives him the coat. And she takes off. And I love Batman's shadow here, just saying, "Hey, tell me what you saw." So this is at the height of the where computer coloring really started in the early to mid 90s, really penetrating. And you can see here that in the 10 years it's improved some, but it still looks like a computer. Nowadays people really do much better job into blending things so as to not make it look like a computer. But during this era, man, people went nuts with computer coloring. So you can see that she's running through, being overwhelmed by what she sees here. Big trope of Michael Turner. Again, rest in peace, those big eyes of his. So, in my characters, though, I do try to do similar to how he kind of does the nose. I actually have a more simplistic approach in how I do my nose, more like John Bolton, but a very minimal approach to the nose, which I also do. So, this vehicle ends up hitting her. So she seems to have all of Superman's power. She's just getting startled by things, uses laser vision, runs away. She's speaking Kryptonian. Cops come, uses her heat vision to attack them. And suddenly she can fly. They feel like she tried to kill him, and then they start shooting, and the bullets bounce off her, just like Superman. So she's climbing through, and Batman is awaiting at the top, and he tells her enough, which he deduces, the strength, the heat vision, and now flight. So she's kind of taken off, hits that blimp, and he calls Superman and says, "Hey, I got a job for you," as that blimp is going to hurl. So he's on it, and he says, "Hey, anything else you want me to do before you send me back up to my room?" And so that girl has run away. Batman is gonna go after her. I deduct that Batman had already disappeared here. Doesn't really say, but I believe he's already disappeared here. And he says, "I don't know who you are, but you have to come with me." Doesn't understand what she's saying, but he does have some kryptonite that he collected, and he suspects that it'll work on her. So he takes her to the cave, and he's running some tests. I really do like Michael Turner's version of the Batmobile. Again, man, rest in peace. Dude was a very popular artist during the 90s. Pretty popular up until his death, but you'd know him from Witchblade, which he did at Top Cow, and then he did Aspen with his own series, or his own comic imprint. So Superman has her with the red sunlight, probably to depower her as he's running some tests. But she wakes up. She's not gonna have any of it. So um, yells at him in Kryptonian. But here comes Superman. He doesn't even bat an eye. And suddenly the two of them are speaking in Kryptonian. And she's crying. Uh, so recognizes the symbol. Batman asks, "What did she say? What were they talking about?" And he says, "This is Kara Zor-El, my cousin from Krypton," which is of course Supergirl. So, real quick, um, during this time, there was no Supergirl. Then DC Comics decided, all right, let's bring in a Supergirl, but it was not Kara Zor-El. Peter David. By the way, Peter David is going through some health issues and does have a GoFundMe. If you'd like to help him out, feel free. Um, and it was like I hope to eventually one day get into that series. It's just there's so much other stuff. I'm just one person. I do this for fun, kind of as a hobby. So I don't know if I'll be able to get to Peter David's Supergirl series. I'd love to, but like I said, there's so much stuff that I'm covering. So, um, by the way, I have covered issues like I said 1 through 6. So check them out if you'd like. I mean I've already mentioned that. So sorry. So anyway, Kara, the Supergirl, had died in the original Crisis of Infinite Earths, and then when everything kind of restarted, there was no Supergirl. So this is actually the first Kara Zor-El since Crisis on Infinite Earths. So she had been brought in that asteroid, which we will kind of see later. So here's the next issue. So this would be issue number 9. So now in the other cover we had Gotham. Now we have Metropolis here. Kind of difference is Metropolis always shown like blue skies and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of computer coloring again. So again, Michael Turner does not ink himself. He uses pencil. This is all done in pencil. So and then colored right over it. So Superman's reading this inscription. Her name, of course, Kara Zor-El from the dead planet Krypton, and she will be a treasure to your world. So Batman doesn't trust it. Batman thinks it's too convenient. That Luthor brought it in. It could be a trap set up by Luthor for Superman. And he says, Superman tells him Luthor would have no way of knowing that. But Batman says, of course, Darkseid would. And that's the point. So Superman presses a button which causes sunlight, which is how Kara Zor-El already had her powers going. And Kara Zor-El breaks through here and says, let me in, it's after me, it hates me. I didn't do anything to it, I swear. She's just running through. And Superman asks her to calm down, what's chasing you? And she's like that. Superman's getting ready to attack. And then we get Krypto, who I just absolutely love Superman having Krypto. I know he's been brought back. This Superman and Batman together are so fun. It's a treat. And Mark Waid now has been doing Brave and the Bold, kind of like it's the new Superman Batman series DC has. It's about 15 issues in as of this recording. So check that out. It's I love it. So Superman tells Krypto down. She says she was at the zoo looking at stuff when the dog attacked her, and Batman puts away his batarang that he was gonna throw at the dog. And so Superman's like, bad dog. I love that. Tells her to leave her alone. He says, I tried to get Krypto to like me, but, and Batman's like, enough, go to your quarters, we'll discuss this later. She's all sad, she didn't do anything. And Superman says you should talk to her. She's upset, and Batman goes, doesn't bother you at all that the dog hates her? And Superman says his job is to protect the fortress when he's here. Besides, the dog hates everybody, which isn't true, but I do find it funny. So all right, so Batman does decide he's gonna go after her, and she hears him and tells him, that boogeyman stuff will work with other people, but he can hear her heart if he had a heart, and asks why she can't leave me alone. That he doesn't understand, and Batman says, "Explain it to me until I do." So, um, she asks about Batman's parents. Batman's suspicious. He says he can't decide if she's telling the truth or she's trained by someone to kind of mimic how it would feel. And then he asks about Krypton, and then she says she's got memories of his Uncle Jor-El and his Aunt Lara. And, he's asking how did they wear, things like that. And of course, she says, I can't remember. And again, kind of repeats the story. Her father was assigned to Zor-El, and um, other stuff, and um, showing as she also managed to get away in a ship as Krypton exploded. And so and she says the rest Batman or they had explained to her. He says, do you remember your mother's name? He says, why is that important to you? Why don't you trust me? And Batman says, because you desperately want me to. Superman says she's been enough, and he thinks she's ready. Batman says no, and he's making a mistake, and then he says the mistake is mine to make. And she asks, ready for what, Kal? Kal-El, of course, is Superman's real name, in case you did not know that. So, we are now in Apokolips. Love this version of Apokolips from Michael Turner. Granny Goodness is calling for the Furies, and there were the Furies are Apokolips like female warriors, the elite guard who stand to serve Darkseid. And there's one who is challenging them all and show, hopefully um, take over the Furies as leader. Her name is Precious. She says, "Kill or be killed," and Precious calls the Furies, and here come all the Furies, and they overwhelm her and kill her. Darkseid is disappointed, and he says he led her to believe that this Precious would replace Big Barda, and he wants the girl who fell to Earth, referring to Supergirl. So Darkseid believes he can mold her into his image. So we're now back in Metropolis at night. Kara and Clark are walking by. Now, if you believe Supergirl is kind of drawn a little sexualized, yes, that was Michael Turner's tropes. This is how he drew women, drew them all as sexy. Whether you think that's right or wrong, it's not up to me to decide, but that's how they were drawn. So, by Turner. So, the two of them talk. Bruce Wayne is following through. Batman is close, monitoring the situation as the two of them are talking, catching up, and so he is going to take her to a memorial for Superman, and she wonders, is this how they really view you? He says yes, and he says no wonder that the glasses work. Nobody looks for you to be dressed like them, and so that way he can just blend among the people. So Superman hears something. Batman feels it too. So he's hit and flies out, and Kara's grabbed here by the lasso. We know who uses the lasso. She's gonna try to get away, but she's being pulled back by the lasso, and yells for help. Here comes Superman. Great panel here showing Superman. He's hit again and again and again, and it's Harbinger from Crisis on Infinite Earths. So Batman's looking, complains that Metropolis has too much light. It's very hard for him to work as Batman. Someone's gonna throws an arrow. He's prepared, throws a batarang, destroys the arrow, and destroys the bow. Here, Harbinger is attacking Superman with many different versions of himself. She says they have to try to stop him because the girl's destiny must be protected. And Superman uses a superpower. He says no one's taking her from him. Batman's gonna fight Artemis. There she is. And so off they go. Now, I think this panel's fine, but I think these three panels could have been a little bit more dynamic. I think he just found something in a magazine and that he liked and kind of went with it. So Artemis overwhelms him, but of course Batman cheats because he's Batman and he always wins. Uses a dart to kind of knock her out. Meanwhile, Kara uses the lasso, but using the oh my goodness gracious, the bracelets, stops her, picks her up, and Superman asks what's going on here, and he just yells "you," as if nobody knew who this is. He can't tell by the boots and all that kind of stuff and who the heck this is. Says I'm taking the girl. It's of course Wonder Woman, and he says you guys won't stop me. So she's got her. So this concludes our reading for tonight. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Bye.